Hey, it's Alex from Remote Work Life here. And yesterday I spoke to you briefly. I summarized the 5 core pillars that helped me to move my career from one of isolation to, to a career that is now flourishing, a career that's thriving and moving in the right direction. And these 5 pillars were instrumental in helping me as a remote worker, especially to really get things going, to get things moving. Because as I said, isolation was something that I guess, suffered with in a way, and didn't really know how to address it, or didn't really think I needed to address it in many ways. But came to a realization that I needed to do something, and really lent upon these 5 pillars to help me to transform. And those 5 pillars, if you remember, were having a growth mindset, conversing directly with people. People are very, very important to remote workers, and just workers in general, having a network of people. Third, developing knowledge, self-understanding, knowledge of the market, that keyword being knowledge. Fourth on that list was creating and having a strategy, a clear plan, whether that's a strategy for the long term, or whether that's a plan for the day, a plan for the next hour, or whatever it may be. So having a plan was key for me, or having plans. And then fifth on that list was executing, going through with those plans and having a platform to do that. So those were the core things, the key things that have helped me to, as I said, transform from a situation of isolation, career isolation, a situation where my personal development and physical and mental well-being lacked, to a position where I'm in a much better place. I'm thriving in my career now. I'm flourishing. I'm much happier than I once was. And yeah, that's the thing. I think it's all well and good talking about those things, those 5 things, but I feel the difference. I feel the benefits. So when I was isolated, when I felt that my career was isolated, I had a sense of feeling as though I had a really fuzzy mind, so to speak. So I didn't have clarity of thought. My ideas were sort of just really restricted. And having a network, for example, of people who I can speak to really helps me to transform that. Now I can sort of share my ideas, or really talk to people within my network, or talk to people who are outside of my network to understand what they're doing. And that helps me to really create new ideas. So that fuzziness, which comes as a result of isolation, has disappeared. My ideas, as I said, they now flow. I feel supported in that, if I do have a question, I know exactly who to turn to ask the advice that I need to move forward again. I know who can provide the answers. And even if I don't necessarily know who can provide the answers, I can speak to somebody who might know somebody else who knows the answer. So I feel supported. I can get my ideas validated by certain individuals within my network as well. So that was another big benefit of moving from, using these pillars that I mentioned before, using my strategy, executing my plans, talking to people, having a growth mindset, all those different things, those different elements have helped me to really move forward. So that for me is another benefit I've seen, that support. But I think more than anything else, having purpose and having direction is something that has really underpinned all of this, because there's nothing like knowing, or at least having a good, clear idea as to the direction in which you want to move. There's nothing like that. It feels, I can't really describe how it feels exactly to me, but I can only say that before I felt sluggish. I felt a lack of energy. I felt as though I was literally walking around in circles, not knowing what to do, not knowing who to turn to. All of those different feelings, that's all I can really say. But now I feel as though I feel as though I have more confidence in what I'm doing. I feel as though I have more confidence in the direction that I'm going in. So, yeah, I just wanted to keep this little episode short and sweet, this little lesson short and sweet, just to say, as I said before, I'd summarise the different pillars. I told you what those pillars are, and I went through it at the top of this particular lesson, but I also wanted to let you know how I now feel as a result of taking action in the direction that I wanted to go in, and really implementing changes, making changes and being deliberate about the changes in my life in order to move from isolation to a sense of moving forward and momentum. So I would urge you again, I'm going to continue with these lessons. I'm going to continue with these emails for the next couple of days. I'm going to be talking in a bit more detail about those core pillars that I mentioned before, because I mentioned them in relation to my own career and really helping me to move forward with my personal development, really helping to transform my well-being, both mentally and physically. But I would say that these pillars they don't just relate to me. I use these pillars in my coaching calls. I use them with my clients to help them to understand and help them to grow themselves and help them to move from their situation of feeling isolated or feeling as though they're stuck in a rut, so to speak, to help them to move forward themselves. So you may find that as we go through these different lessons that you begin to understand that actually these might well apply to me. So I would just urge you just to look out for the next lesson, which I'm going to talk about these, as I said, these core pillars in a bit more detail for you. And thank you for joining me on this lesson, and I'll speak to you in the next one.